Greetings. I am Dr. Noni Davis, and welcome to Dr. Noni Shule. Um, Today, I'm going to go back to where do we go from here? Because last week I was focusing on our 30th anniversary and giving credit to the great um, Mary McLeod Bethune, who is the reason why we started our institution in the first place. She was my mother's hero, and she said, I'm going to emanate this woman and, try to do something for our community. And so thus we have Sya Academy since 1996. And so, but I wanted to get back to where do we go from here because this book is so poignant to me for where we are right now in this crazy situation that we have, this government. But I also want to just quickly honor my father, the late William Edward Davis, and my mother, Sylvia Davis, who is still with us, who are the reason, and myself, okay, because we all started St. C Academy together. Um, so this today I want to start with page 93 because this is so interesting. Page 92 to 93. So uh, in this section, Dr. King is addressing white liberalism and then some of the frustrations that African Americans have historically had with white liberals. Not all of them, because we know we've had some folks who really fought for us, took us seriously, took our humanity seriously, and also their frustrations with the Jewish community, especially that one in the northern parts of the state of the country. So the southern part we didn't have, in the southern part of the United States, we didn't have as many issues, but definitely in the northern areas, there were issues between the Black community and the Jewish community. So, and of course, there's always economics. But anyway, I want to start here with page 92 of where do we go from here. And at the very bottom, it says, meanwhile, any discussion of the problems of inequality is meaningless unless a time dimension is given to programs for their solution. The Great Society is only a phrase so long as no date is set for the achievement of its promises. I was like, okay. It is disquieting to note that President Johnson, in his message to Congress on the demonstration cities program, stated, if we can begin now, the planning from which action will flow, now mind you, this is the 60s, the hopes of the 20th century, 1900s, will become the realities of the 21st. Why are you giving yourself 100 years? Anyway, on this timetable, many Negroes not yet born and virtually all now alive will not experience equality. The virtue of patience will become a vice if it accepts so leisurely an approach to social change. And so, when you read this, it's like there's this resistance by this community to hold to completely dismantle this racism. Um, and so this and African Americans, especially, we've been through all of this other stuff with, with slavery. We've been through abolition. We've been through Reconstruction. We've been through them making laws and then changing the laws, and every time we made a gain, try to find a way to undermine the gain. And the liberals, too many of the liberals, we're like, well, we just got to take our time and you guys have to be patient. And it makes no sense. Equality now. We don't have to wait. But so one of the problems that African Americans have consistently struggled with is a group that we call these white liberals. And these white liberals have been advocates for African American freedom and civil rights. But historically, this group of people who have been part of the abolition movement are also a problem So what is a liberal is the question, right? The dictionary defines a liberal as a person who supports policies that are socially progressive and promote uh, social welfare. They to promote a practice of political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, and free enterprise. Uh, this movement also promotes individual rights, freedom, equality, progress, fairness, open mindedness, tolerance, and improving society. And in our current space is environmental protection, regulating major corporations and the economy, and providing a social safety net, right? Climate legislation, like I said before, free healthcare, free daycare, public education, those sort of things is what liberals tend to support. So these are all wonderful ideas. But so what is the problem? The problem is that there tends to be this notion that uh, we got to take our time and we cannot disrupt other people and make them feel uncomfortable. They're these people are so fragile, and they can't handle having a black female president. It's just a problem. They almost committed suicide having a black male president, Barack Obama. So several African American leaders expressed their frustration with these white liberals. Frederick Douglass was one of the first, and he had his problems with some of these white abolitionists as well. And so he was the first person that they have like a recorded, I mean, a documented statement, I guess. He's not the first, of course, but because we know we had David Walker and all these other people, but Frederick Douglass was on a trip back home to the plantation where he grew up, and he hadn't been there for like 60 years or whatever, because this was 1881. And so, which was 16 years after slavery had ended. And so he had been invited back by the children of the family that owned his family. So during this pyramid, this article, okay, let me write down to mention who this guy, Nick Brommel, wrote this article on May 1st, 2008. And it's called the American Scholar, The Liberal Imagination of Frederick Douglass. And so I found this article that was written, and it reflects on his trip back to Maryland. And so during this period, liberalism could be considered an open-minded view, which Douglas believed was the response when people told him, "Hey, these people would like for you to come back and visit this plantation." Okay, I think it's called the Great House Farm, and the man who owned the family was called Colonel Floyd, or Colonel Floyd was the person he was going to meet, something like that. But anyway, they told him that this man at his point in life had wait. Douglas believed that the response of his former enslavers' descendants, they seemed anxious to meet Douglas, and of course they're anxious to meet him. Frederick Douglass has been he's an escaped African American. He successfully escaped. He was part of the Underground Railroad. He was an abolitionist. He was a writer. He was one of the co-authors, or what is it? He had the newspaper with Dr. Martin Delaney, the North Star. So he's a publisher of a newspaper. He was a major political figure in Washington, D.C. He was hanging out with President Lincoln and helped to, get these African Americans involved in the Civil War, officers and everything. His children fought in the war, and few years later, in 1889, he would become the president, the U.S. minister, resident, and consul general to Haiti. So they were like, hey, this dude was over here. He's brilliant. So, of course, they wanted to meet him. But liberalism has often been criticized as all talk and no action. So they wanted to meet him, and their overture to meet him was considered liberal because now they're going to be open minded about this contact with Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass is so much further ahead down the road than these people, but they thought that they were being nice because they were inviting him back. Never mind, he accepted it. And so, who was the real, who was the real person of stature coming here to do this? It showed a lot about his character, and then he probably needed to deal with some of the emotional attachment to this place that he experienced with his aunts and his families. And he has a story about remembering where he slept and his family members being beaten over there. So it was trauma for him. So yeah, thanks for inviting me over and giving me a bouquet of flowers. Anyway, anyway, so on page 93, he acknowledges that the white liberal was very problematic for many black civil rights leader. He says here, he said, where does it say it on page 93? Um, Meanwhile, did I not say this? Okay. Meanwhile, any discussion of the problems, that's what I already read that one. So, a leading voice in the course of social transition belongs to the white liberal, whether he speak through the government, the church, the voluntary welfare agencies of the civil rights movement. Over the last few years, many Negroes have felt that their most troublesome adversary was not the obvious bigot of the Ku Klux Klan or the John Birch Society, but the white liberal who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers tranquility to equality. In a sense, the white liberal has been victimized with some of the same ambivalence that has been a constant part of our national heritage. And he goes on to say, even in areas where liberals have great influence, like labor unions, schools, churches, and politics, the situation of the Negro is not much better than in areas where they are not dominant. Okay. So this is why liberals have fallen into the trap of seeing integration merely in aesthetic terms. Oh, I have a friend that's black. Did you know that we're making a lot of progress. We allowed 2 black families to move into our neighborhood. Dr. King is not playing. And the other one said, oh, we now have 1 black person who is in the executive office of the company. Let's see, we've allowed 2 black children to attend our schools and all of that. And so he's like, you're not really doing this because it's not equality. It's like they set these parameters around what is equality. And so he's like, this is not true of all white liberals, of course, because we know about John Brown, and I got my pictures of my folks, the white folks who did what they were supposed to do, who were committed and dedicated and demonstrated their a serious commitment. And so we're gonna show their pictures because we're gonna make sure we honor them because we don't want to tell lies. Okay, so this is John Brown. And these are the Grimke sisters. I think one is Sarah and the other one is, wait, who is this one? Yes, Sarah and Angelina Grimke, and they were serious about their abolition. This is Wendell Phillips, and that is William Lloyd Garrison, who is also a good friend of Frederick Douglass, and they had their little spiffs over the Constitution. Uh, he believed that the Constitution needed to be rewritten. I agree. Frederick Douglass believed that we should use the Constitution to pursue our freedom, and so they had a little disagreement about that. This is Lydia Maria Child, and then this is Maria Weston Chapman, and of course, here's the man, Mr. Frederick Douglass. And so we have, we've always had allies, and so allyship is great. It's just that we now are at a point where people are tired. Black people are tired. We're tired of fighting with these folks. And these people advocated complete emancipation of Africans. However, many black civil rights leaders believe that they always knew where they stood with the KKK. And so while these white liberals, are you all fighting wholeheartedly for us? Or are you just saying we like you, but, well, y'all need to just slow down and take your time? And so on page 94, it says often white liberals are unaware of their latent prejudices. And so here, Dr. King says, a while ago, I ran into a white woman who was anxious to discuss the race problem with me. She said, I am very liberal and I have no prejudices towards Negroes. I believe Negroes should have the right to vote, the right to a good job, the right to a decent home, and the right to have access to public accommodations. Of course, I must confess that I would not want my daughter to marry a Negro. And that right there made me like, what are you talking about? So is it okay for your son to rape a black woman and have a little black baby with this lady could not see that her failure to accept intermarriage negated her claim to genuine liberalism. As she failed to see that implicit in her rejection was the feeling that her daughter has some pure superior nature that should not be contaminated by the impure inferior nature of the Negro. And it is the Teutonic origins theory warmed over. The question of intermarriage is never raised in a society cured of the disease of racism. And so, it's just so crazy when you consider that the TJ, Thomas Jefferson, was out here with a 40-year-old man with a 14-year-old black woman who was his wife's sister, and having babies that with a mulatto woman who you think are inferior to you. It just makes the cognitive dissonance is that so it's okay for your men to sleep with somebody who you feel like you're inferior. So, so all of these stories about, people having these bizarre sexual fantasies of being with, animals and stuff. You think I'm an animal. Why are you bothering me? What? So it's insane. And I know I can go back through my own family and see the evidence of this. But the men, it's okay for the men to do it, but it's not okay for the women to do it. What are we saying? It's mental illness, in my opinion. So the white liberal, this is page 9. Wait. This is bottom of 94. So when evil men combine, good men must unite. This is a pressing challenge confronting the white liberal. When evil men plot, good men must plan. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. When evil men conspire to preserve an unjust status quo, good men must unite to bring about the birth of a society undergirded by justice. Nothing could be more detrimental to the health of America at this time than for liberals to sink into a state of apathy and indifference. And this is why we have a president right now who is shameless. Shameless. He is a criminal. And he's not that bad. I mean, when he was running in 2016, he don't mean it. He was saying bizarre stuff. This man has been saying crazy stuff. Had a history of fraud in New York. I mean, New York hates him, and he was doing this to his own people. And there was information out there about it. And this group of people still followed through and voted for him. And yeah, I believe he did cheat, but there's also, this idea that how could you he don't mean what he's saying. He's saying it. And he has evidence that he has defrauded y'all. Your construction workers, your construction companies, your plumbing country, your electrical companies. He defrauded you. He didn't pay you for the work that you did. and he was doing engaging inappropriate relationships with children, and he was doing all this stuff. But this is insane. So the white liberal must affirm that absolute justice for the Negro simply means, in an Aristotelian sense, sorry, that the Negro must have his due, and there is nothing abstract about that. This is a concrete as having a good job, a good education, decent home, and a share of power. It is, however, important to understand that giving a man his due may often mean giving him special treatment. I am aware of the fact that this has been a troublesome concept for many liberals, since it conflicts with their traditional ideal of equal opportunity, equal treatment of people according to their individual merits. But this is a day which demands new thinking in the reevaluation of all concepts. A society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him in order to equip him to compete on a just and equal basis. So just imagine you're like, oh, it's not fair that we give you all these opportunities. And I'm like, okay, so let's see. Um, Africans have not received anything special that is due to them because of our enslavement, but if our ancestors were dragged over here, so you drag my ancestors over here, and yours got a free ride on the boat, and some of them did have to pay to get on the boat, but when they got here, some of them got free land. They were encouraged to go out west. If you go out west, I'll give you 200 acres of free land. A lot of them had free education. Um, let's see, they had free labor, free food. Right now, a lot of them are getting free healthcare and free and they on SNAP. They don't know that they own it, but they own it, and free education. And so, on the other hand, we lost we lost our family members. We lost cousins during the transatlantic slave trade, or the European slave trade, as we should really call it. We were dragged over here. We lost millions of children, cousins, parents, sisters, brothers, aunts, and uncles who died on the way. These are the people who, as they were moving through that thing at that time, this is who they were losing. And then we lost our spirituality. Our labor was stolen. Our languages were stolen. Our humanity was stolen. And you're telling me that you can't give me a chance to have to balance this thing out. So this idea, well, if I give it to you now, that was your ancestors and it wasn't us and we didn't do it. Yeah, but you still benefited from it, because if you got 200 acres and then you told me you're gonna give me 40 acres and a mule and I didn't get it, when have I been compensated? When were Black people compensated? We have not. Everything we've got, we've had to get it on our own. And I think we had maybe, let's see, 1968. We haven't even had, we've only had about 60 years or less of an opportunity for some of this stuff to be restored. These people must stop Trump, because he is not, Trump is a clear example of somebody who is getting away with foolishness. We are witnessing a lot of the same, and it's like it's limp-legged, can't get nothing done. And now you got the white Democrats, the Black Democrats, and Hispanic Democrats, Asian Democrats. All of them are like, not all of them. Too many of them are confused and don't know what to do. They've allowed. They don't know how to fight. They're trying to adhere to laws that nobody else is following. We're not supposed to be at war. It's supposed to be impossible, because you have to have congressional. I was talking to my students this morning. You have to have congressional authority before you go to war. Why are we at war? This man is violating every law, breaking every single law, and we're still trying to adhere to what? Order. There is no order. These people, the Ku Klux Klan has never followed rules. They could accuse a Black person of doing anything, and that was it. That Black person could be killed. No trial. No, and even in the trial, he could be. It didn't matter whether he was found innocent or not. They would still do what they were going to do. And how about his whole family got to be punished? The whole town could be burned up. So there's never been any adherence to the rules. So when you talk about rules and justice and all there is none of that. And then you will still be bewildered by all of the, well, what are we going to do? And unfortunately, it's been like this since the Civil War. All of those Confederate officers should have either been, and I'm just going to say it, they should have been executed or they should have been kept in prison for life. We did not do it. We have failed miserably holding the KKK accountable. We have children right now that are being hung and the police are saying, oh, they committed suicide. They did not commit no daggone suicide. And and that's why they have not been destroyed. These people, these racist entities cannot have not been destroyed because white liberals have been too passive. And they might get one, but you let nine go, and or made some kind of accommodation or excuse or just didn't have the where the gumption to continue to pursue these people. Um so now let's see, it's going down here to page what 98. I think did I have something on 97? 96. Let's see, what did I have on 96? It is important for the liberal to see that the oppressed person who agitates for his right is not his rights is not the creator of the tension. He merely brings out the hidden tension that is already alive. Last summer, when we had our open housing marches in Chicago, many of our white liberal friends cried out in horror and dismay. You are creating hatred and hostility in the white communities in which you are marching. You are only developing a white backlash. I never could understand this logic. They failed to realize that the hatred and the hostilities were already latently or subconsciously present. Our marches merely brought them to the surface and not violent. This was not violent. Or subconsciously present. Our marches merely brought them to the surface. How strange it would be to condemn a physician who, through persistent work and the ingenuity of his medical skills, discovered cancer in a patient. Through the skills and disciplines a discipline of direct action, we revealed that there is a dangerous cancer of hatred and racism in our society. We did not cause the cancer, we merely exposed it. Only through this kind of exposure will the cancer ever be cured. And the committed white liberal must see the need for powerful antidotes to combat the disease of racism. And so I think that they're finally figuring it out, because what did Black people do? We are not going to march as a group now. Some of us are going to go out there, but a lot of us are not. The limited degree of, and now here's the thing with the Jewish people, I didn't get a lot there, but they even here, they're saying that African Americans have this interesting relationship with Jews. They said, let's see, we have continuously, let's see, where am I? This is 98. Okay. On the other hand, okay, wait, let me start right here. The limited degree of Negro anti-Semitism is substantially a northern ghetto phenomena. It virtually does not exist in the South. The urban Negro has a special and unique relationship to Jews. He meets them in two dissimilar roles. On the one hand, he is associated with Jews as his most committed and generous partners in the civil rights struggle. On the other, he meets them daily as some of his most direct exploiters in the ghetto, as slum landlords and gouging shopkeepers. Jews have identified with Negroes voluntarily in the freedom movement, motivated by their religious and cultural commitment to justice. The other Jews who are engaged in commerce in the ghettos are remnants of older communities. A great number of Negro ghettos were formerly Jewish neighborhoods. Some storekeepers and landlords remained as a population changes occurred. They operate with the ethics of marginal business entrepreneurs, not Jewish ethics, but the distinction is lost on some Negroes who are maltreated by them. Such Negroes, caught in frustration and irrational anger, parrot racial epithets. They foolishly add to the social poison that injures themselves and their own people. And so I know that there's a lot of angst with that. So my only response is that Israel is complicated. It's very complicated. You have folks who are Zionists, like we have right now. We have a whole person doing committing genocide against brown and black people who are Palestinian. They're Christian, they're Jewish, they're Muslim, all of that, and they were all living there first. We're calling Israel a country that has only been around for like 70 years, and there's a lot, even amongst themselves, there's a big argument like, what are we doing? This is not real. The country is really Palestine. And just because people change the name doesn't mean that it is okay. And I talk to my children all the time. We live in America, but do we really live in America? What do the Native American people call it? Something like Turtle Island, but I don't know. I don't know the indigenous name. But this is not America to them. We named this country after somebody who never set their foot here, and so it's very complicated, and I don't want to disparage Black people because they are having experiences that are legitimate for them. We don't want to. The thing is, we don't want to lump everybody in the same category, just like we get lumped into the same categories. If you're Black, get back all that foolishness that has been said about us, and so we have to be mindful of how we engage in stereotypes. You are going to have crazy people in every group. You don't have sane people, loving people, people who have more integrity in their pinky than a whole bunch of folks. And so we have to be mindful of how we do it. But overall, we all have to step up and face this racism. We can't let it be dormant. We have to address it. We have to address it head on. And we have to create a space where our children do not have to worry about this. Racism is detrimental to everybody. I heard Eric Bennett say today that if only Black women were in charge, it would be a better world. Anyway, I share. I'm going to take that. It would be a better world. It would be a better America if we were in charge. Anyway, peace.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I walk into the sound of drums.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I know my mother.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I can play the drum.
I'm a St. Sya student. Of course I can work with my hands.
I'm a St. Sya student.